I wanted to help you to understand prophecy. Last week I mentioned it. I'm going to mention it again. And I mentioned it last week. I'm going to mention it in a few minutes, and now I'm going to mention it now. Because I want you to know what I'm talking about in prophecy. I want you to understand what prophecy is. Because there's too much junk going on out here that's been disguised as prophecy. And even in our own minds, we look at prophecy with and it has so many different images. I want to look at a couple of scriptures. I want you to go to Ephesians and look at the first chapter and the 4th verse. Ephesians 1:4, Ephesians 3:9, Hebrews 4:3, 1 Peter 1:20, Revelation 13:8. That's slowed down now for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. According as He hath chosen us in Him. What's those next 5 words?
Before the foundation of the world.
6 words, actually. Before the foundation of the world. Ephesians 3:9. And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world, hath been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. Look at Hebrews 4:3. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. From the foundation of the world, the works were finished. In 1 Peter 1:20, it says, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you. And finally, in Revelation 13:8, it says, and that all dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written in the book of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now, what I want you to understand is this. When you're talking about prophecy, it's going to have to be from God, isn't it? Now, prophecy is something unveiled, revealed from God. Now, in all of these scriptures that we just got through reading here, what we can see. Secondly, let me ask you this. Does God dwell in the future or in the past? Kind of
Neither one.
Explain.
It's in the present.
Why so? You're right, but why?
Because the future and the past are the present for God.
God has no past. God has no future. God is. Let's take for an example. Let's say that you've gotten, and you're a prolific reader. Sherry used to take books, and I mean big books. At least they were big to me. They had, 20, 25 pages. No, she used to take big books and sit down and read these things in a day or less. And, so I want you to imagine this. In this book, if you were capable of injecting yourself into the story, and you're in the story Gone with the Wind, we'll just say. In Gone with the Wind, it starts out over here pre-Civil War, runs through the war, and then after the war. So if you're a character in this book, there's a past, there's a present, and there's a future. But now if you're Sherry, and you're sitting there and you're holding this book, there is no past, present, and future. You can turn to the last page and read it. You can turn to the first page, and then after you've read the last page, you can turn back to the first page, and you can run back and forth anywhere you want to, because it's all right now for you. And that's exactly what God does in many of the books of the Bible, Revelation being one of them, and other books of the Bible. That's exactly what confuses us, is we're reading this and God is going, okay, this is and now I'm over here, now I'm over here, now I'm over here, now I'm over here. But what God is not in time. He created time to run a certain span. Now He's out here and God is. That's it. He is. So, if I'm in that book, there's a past, there's a present, and there's a future. But if I'm holding that book, it's all right now. And that's exactly where God is. He's right now. Now, if prophecy then is that which comes from God, what we have to understand is what He's giving to us as future to Him is written history. You see what I'm saying? He comes to us and He says, okay, let me tell you what's going to happen at the end of the book. But for God, it's already written. That's why He can tell you that. And I'm not trying to take anything away from God, but I'm saying He's not inventing stuff. He's not coming and giving you some prophecy, said, hey, maybe this will work, or why don't we send Joe to Africa? Joe, you're going to Africa. All God's doing in prophecies, He's coming and said, let me tell you what's written for you. And if God truly in prophecy says, you're going to Africa, it's because God, before the foundation of the world, said, you're going to Africa. And I'm just now unveiling what's already written. I'm not changing anything. And you don't have to seek me to make changes. And you don't have to go, oh God, please let me do, because if it's my will, it's written. And my will is greater than what you could even think of asking me for. And it's the only thing that's going to satisfy you in your life, because that is programmed into you. That's why the presence of God is fullness of joy, because He's living out the story He's already written for you. So prophecy is your future revealed as His already written history. And nothing can change that. Not even God. Because God is unchanging. That's how sure what God intends to do is for you in understanding that. Now, so you understand then that the future is actually unveiling history. That's not confusing. All right. So then, understanding that, then understand that it says in 2 Timothy 1:9, who has saved us and called us with a holy calling, not according to our works, but according to His own purpose and grace, which was given us in Christ Jesus before the world began. Before the world began, you were given your assignment. Now, any personal prophecy that is given to you by anybody is simply the progression in your life of this already written history. It's just God saying, this is where you are in what I've already planned for your life, and this is where you're going. So prophecy cannot be this off-the-wall stuff. And understand this. Prophecy, first of all, prophecy is dealing with God, and prophecy is not going to ever focus on this life, nor is it going to fortify you in a position that would hold you by this life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Prophecy is not going to come to you and say, oh, you know, God's going to give you a free shopping trip. He's not going to come to you and give you a prophecy that's going to solidify your remaining in this realm. Because prophecy is about bringing you to that one. And another thing that I'll tell you about prophecy. In John 7:17, Jesus said, anyone that wills let me read it. John 17, or 7:17. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself. If any man will do his will, he shall know the doctrine. There's so many people that are coming and they're saying, okay, I'm a prophet. And I have come to prophesy over whoever comes up. They'll prophesy. Now these prophets that I know of never give a prophecy that says, set your house in order and prepare yourself because you're going to die. Your life's going to be required of you. Or never gives prophecies that are not soothing to the flesh. But now here's the deal. God says very clearly, if you do my will, you'll know. No prophecy will ever be given to anybody who is not in the will of God, apart from telling him what he needs to obey. God's not going to reveal anything farther if we're not in obedience to what we already know. So if somebody's not walking for work or living for God, he's not going to prophesy to them great things. He's going to tell them, set it in order. We can't go anywhere till you set it in order.